What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on EI Entertainment Studios, back at it with another debate episode. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about Legendary Destoroyah versus Shin Mecha Godzilla. So here's the plan, folks. We're going to go over the backstory, characteristics, abilities, everything of both of these two kaijus. Once we're done completely analyzing them, we're gonna put them up against each other in a death battle. But don't worry, I'll go way more into detail once we get there. So without further ado, let's begin with the backstory of Legendary Destoroyah. So, Legendary Destoroyah came into existence after the US Army shot the oxygen destroyer at Godzilla. The blast was strong enough to blast Godzilla into a complete shock and cause severe physical damage. However, it did nothing to King Ghidorah, as the laws of physics of Earth do not apply to a creature from a different realm. But the chemical reaction with the oxygen destroyer, Godzilla, and King Ghidorah created a new organism who hates the existence of oxygen itself, known as Legendary Destoroyah. Now, that's the backstory that I came up with. Let's get the abilities. I'm gonna quickly skim over them. We're gonna completely finish off all the stats of Legendary Destoroyah, and then we're gonna go back to the abilities, deeply analyze them, and then we'll move on to Shin Mecha Godzilla. So let's go do a quick skim of the abilities. Anti-Oxygen Blast, Crown of the Fallen King's Zap, Stomach Tongue, Tail Grip, Super Spiny Skin, and finally, Eye Blast. Now, the height of Legendary Destoroyah is 145 meters tall. Territorial level is none. Aggression exceeds maximum level, so it's even higher than the maximum level. And the biome is unlimited point of life, because the whole point is death, and it cancels the point of life out. I'll explain that more when we get to the abilities. So, that basically finishes off all the stats. So now let's go into the abilities. Let's do a deep analysis. So first one is Anti-Oxygen Blast. This is an interesting one. Well, before I do begin explaining these, I want to give a quick disclaimer. For those of you who watch this on a regular basis, some abilities, all the abilities will have the same name, but some abilities might have their functionality tweaked a little bit, made more better, and tweak their functionality basically. Just give a quick disclaimer out there, it's not the exact same. Just want to put that out there. Okay, anyways, let's begin. So, first we have the Anti-Oxygen Blast, and this is very simple. He has a ray that comes out from his mouth, and what it does, and it has a radius, and in that specific radius, it just destroys the oxygen, just like the oxygen destroyer, because remember, this was created from the oxygen destroyer, so he actually destroys oxygen. So when Legendary Destoroyah uses that on an opponent, on let's say a body part, it actually destroys the oxygen and makes that complete body part die and can't ever recover, or at least for a very long time. So it's a very powerful ability. Now, next we have Crown of the Fallen King's Zap. Now, if you guys know how just even the regular Destroyer looks, he has a horn on top of his head. And this specific ability uses that horn, and it's like a laser zap that shoots from the top of his horn. And basically, what it does is it's very similar to the Oxygen Blast, where yes, indeed it does cancel out oxygen, but it's not even clearly as strong as the other one. But its main purpose is it slices flesh in an X pattern, as in a way where it cancels life out. So when it cuts in flesh, it always cuts in an X format, as in it's dead. Very interesting ability, and it cuts a very deep X as well. So it's very strong, very focused, and very hot. That's why it does that. And again, it's X-shaped, which causes even more damage because the X has a pretty big radius itself. So that's that. Now, going on from that, we have the Stomach Tongue. This is a disgusting ability, very interesting one though. Legendary Destoroyah has a bulge on his stomach. And that bulge itself actually has a tongue that opens up from his stomach. And that tongue has millions and millions of teeth, giant to small, to many sizes, of teeth on that tongue. And what that tongue does is it wraps around the neck of the opponent. Well, when it wraps around, the teeth aren't out on the tongue. It wraps around the opponent. And then once it wraps around like a steak, the teeth come out and just start stabbing the flesh of the opponent. He could wrap it around the head, he could wrap it around anywhere of the body. But the point is, wherever it wraps around, it's getting stabbed by a lot of very sharp teeth. And that teeth itself give out a poison where it numbs the opponent. And it also destroys the flesh. So technically, the opponent won't even know it's getting stabbed because it's numb. And that's very bad because it won't know how to defend itself. Now, continuing from that, we have tail grip. So yes, he can grip opponents with the bottom of his tail and throw them around. Super spiny skin. His skin is very, very sharp and spiny, so it's very difficult for opponents to rip through his skin, and even when they hit his skin, it actually hurts them because of how spiny and sharp it is. The defense ability as well. Now, finally we have the eye blast. Between his two eyes, he can shoot a laser that absolutely causes a massive shockwave and throws the opponent across the whole area. It's very powerful. Okay, this will sum up Legendary Destoroyah, folks. Now, let's move on to Shin Mecha Godzilla. Well, actually, before I do that, let me explain that Biome thing I promised to explain. The unlimited point of life. Basically, Legendary Destoroyah is an oxygen destroyer. He does not need oxygen to live. He doesn't need it. He's not even breathing oxygen. He doesn't breathe anything. He's just living without oxygen. That means he can live anywhere. If there's no oxygen, he can live anywhere. Doesn't matter. That's the point of that. Okay. Now let's move on to Shin Mecha Godzilla. So, Shin Mecha Godzilla came into existence after Shin Godzilla was injected with the coagulant and froze. DNA samples from Shin Godzilla's body had fallen to the ground, and elite biologists collected the samples and kept them alive with the correct temperature and placed the DNA samples into a Godzilla-like metal-built body, so that DNA could evolve and adapt into a metal body and form a brain. After 13 days, the DNA evolution cycle was complete and a half-robotic and half-flesh Godzilla was born, known as Shin Mecha Godzilla. Okay, now, his height is approximately 196 meters tall, and his abilities, let's do a quick skim of them, finish them off, we'll go back to the abilities. So abilities are Super Laser Ray, Gliding ability, Laser Rockets, Scan Missiles, Prediction ability, Solar Recharge, and Adaptation ability. Now, the Territorial level is maximum, Aggression level is maximum, and Biome is unlimited, and I'll explain that in the abilities right now, why it is indeed unlimited. So let's begin. So the first ability we have is the Super Laser Ray. Now, obviously, Shin Mecha Godzilla has Shin DNA. Now, if you know regular Shin Godzilla, he has a laser he shoots from his mouth. It's very focused, very hot, and it just basically slices through everything. It's very powerful. This is now done with an AI intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence. So, what that means is this. It's better than the original one. It's better engineered. It's stronger. It's faster. And it's definitely more focused. So it's basically a more beefed up version of the regular laser that Shin Godzilla himself has, that Shin Mecha Godzilla now has. That's what it basically is. And it just destroys and cuts through flesh and metal and everything. Basically everything. Now, going from that, he also has the gliding ability. Now, this one is prominent because of one reason. Yes, Shin Mecha Godzilla can glide. But the whole point is he can glide and also really quick, because he has rockets, he can ram into his opponents and just destroy them, just throw them into buildings and whatever they needs to throw them into. But he can ram into his opponents, which is incredibly powerful. And when I say ram, I mean like a very powerful ram as well. So anyways, continuing. He has laser rockets. This is interesting. Laser rockets. Yes, you heard that correctly. So it's a rocket that shoots from the side of his shoulders. Now, here's the difference though. The rocket shoots, once the rocket hits the opponent, or whatever he's shooting at, explodes, right? Once it explodes, then lasers come out of it. And then the lasers explode and they completely rip up the flesh. So it's like a combo. It's a very powerful ability. And then after that, we have the scan missiles. Now, talk about some crazy abilities. Let's talk about the scan missiles. The scan missiles are very, very interesting. So, this is what it is. It's a missile. It's like a heat wave predictor. However, it's a bit different than that. What it likes to do is it scans the opponent, and it likes to find the specific part of the opponent where it uses a specific ability. So if I could put this into perspective, imagine Godzilla, right? Imagine Godzilla for a second, and assume that Godzilla, personally, wants to use the atomic breath, okay? And say that he does use the atomic breath. That missile will find the area that the atomic breath needs to be used from, and it will actually shoot at the mouth or the dorsal plates, wherever it could be used from. And from that, it can find the area that's using the ability. And in anywhere, any monster, it cancels out abilities. That's a scan missile. Now the prediction ability is also a very interesting one. The prediction ability is this. It's very similar to the scan missiles, but the only big difference, and the only difference I would say, is that instead of a missile getting shot and canceling out an opponent's ability, Shin Mecha Godzilla himself artificially learns the moves of the opponent, and he understands what they're gonna do after a specific amount of time, and from that, he can counterattack every single time now, which is incredibly powerful. It's AI intelligence to the maximum, in my opinion, and there's no other better way to do it. So that's that. Now after that, we have the solar recharge. Now this is not a regular solar recharge. This is like any other one. So just think about it like this. This is the best way I can put it into perspective. A regular solar panel collects sun when the sun is out, right? This one is a more advanced version, and it's made to collect the power of the sun even when the sun is not present, even if it's nighttime, and all that stuff. So it's very powerful. And so he could collect sun if it's the other way, if it's a nighttime or it's cloudy, whatever the case may be, he could collect sun. Therefore, he's going to be always powerful and always fighting without losing any strength. And then we have the adaptation ability. He can adapt and evolve to the specific situation because of Shin DNA. Now, the biome is unlimited because of the adaptation ability. He can adapt and evolve to any biome to live because his genes allow that. Because as Shin DNA has Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, he evolves and adapts to the specific situation, to the environment. Okay, folks, we just finished both of these kaijus. So, let's put them up against each other in the death battle. We're going to go close range and far range. Now, we're going to do far range as well because it tests out the opponents with limited, or you could say cut off abilities. We're trying to see if they can survive if some of their abilities are indeed cut off. That's the main reason. In the close range is just all out war. So let's go ahead and do it. So let's see what ability, and oh, before I say that, they cannot come closer than 700 meters apart. So they have to be 700 meters apart. So let's see what abilities Legendary Destroyer can or cannot use when it comes to far range. So anti-oxygen blast, yes, it's made to go far distances. Crown of the Fallen King Zap will not travel 700 meters, so you can't use that. Stomach Tongue cannot use that. Tail Grip cannot use that. Remember, he cannot come close to the opponent to use that. He can't touch it. 700 meters apart, so he can't use the Tail Grip. Super Spiny Skin, well, defensively, yes. Offensively, no. And the Eye Blast, he can use that as well. So, basically, the only actual thing he can use is the Anti-Oxygen Blast and the Eye Blast. That's it. Now, for Shin Mecha Godzilla, Super Laser Ray, he can use that. Gliding ability, for defensive, just gliding around, but can't come close to the opponent. Not for offensive, but defensive, yes. Laser Rockets, yes. Scan Missiles, no. Prediction ability, no. Solar Recharge, yes. For defensive, I guess, or whatever, doesn't matter. And Adaptation ability, sure. So, in the battle, when we begin this far-range battle, I personally see Shin Mecha Godzilla being the first one to shoot at Legendary Destoroyah because he's going to be scanning and already knowing what he's doing, and he's going to be ready to shoot, and he's going to shoot with the Super Laser Ray, and it's going to cause, actually it's going to cause a lot of damage, and it's actually going to break off one of the giant spines, I believe, of Legendary Destoroyah. And remember, Legendary Destoroyah isn't a monster to back off. He is going to accept that challenge happily, and his only goal is to take life, and he's going to try to take Shin Mecha Godzilla's life. Now, the only thing we have here for Legendary Destoroyah, the big one, he can use Eye Blast, which is going to do a great amount of damage. But the one that we should be focusing on right now, that he should be focusing on, is the Anti-Oxygen Blast. Now, personally, both of these cards are lacking a lot of abilities from far range. All of them are suffering from this. So they have all of them have a lack of abilities. But the only difference is Legendary Destoroyah was able to keep his strongest ability where Shin Mecha Godzilla was not. He has the ray he can shoot, right? You can shoot the Super Laser Ray all day, and it's gonna start causing a lot of damage, but they're far, they can't come close. However, for Legendary Destoroyah, he can easily use the Anti-Oxygen Blast and start killing off the parts that are flesh, because remember, Shin Mecha Godzilla is half flesh, half robot. If the flesh dies, the robot stops working, or if even parts of the flesh dies, then parts of the robot stops working. So with the Anti-Oxygen Blast, he can use that, and he's gonna cut off oxygen from some parts of the body, and that's gonna cause a malfunction. Now remember, Shin Mecha Godzilla cannot use the adaptation ability, therefore cannot adapt and evolve to fit the situation, because his adaptation ability can only be used, and I did say this. Let me clarify myself before I continue, because I need to be, I'm going to be as open as I can. I don't want to miss any points. I did agree that he can use the adaptation ability when I said in the far range. He can use it to everything except Legendary Destoroyah, and I'll tell you why. He's a half robot, so he needs his scan missiles and his prediction ability to work properly for his adaptation ability via the AI, or the artificial intelligence, to help it work. These are not able to work at 700 meters, so he can't adapt and evolve to a way to avoid this oxygen blast. So he's going to keep on getting blasted by it, and basically all of his flesh is going to get killed by the Oxygen Destroyer blast, and his robot is going to stop working. So he has really no defense against this, and therefore Legendary Destoroyah is going to win, in my opinion, 1-0 in terms of far distance. So 1-0 for Legendary Destoroyah. Now, let's go to close range. All out, close. Now, Legendary Destoroyah is 145 meters tall. Shin Mecha Godzilla is 196 meters tall. There is a difference, not that big, but there is still quite a difference. So Shin Mecha Godzilla definitely has the upper hand in size, height, and I would say just pure brute strength. He has pure steel. Now, when these two creatures begin, they are going to 100% ram into each other, run, and just see who has the alpha position. Now, Legendary Destoroyah is spiny, massive, and just rough-edged monster. His body's like a rock. Shin Mecha Godzilla does have half flesh and half robotic. Even though his steel is one of the strongest steels in the world, so powerful, he does have some squishy flesh. And again, their flesh is very, very rough, but remember, Shin Godzilla's skin is one of the roughest of all monsters. However, this is a refurnished, redone, remade body, so it's not as strong as the original one. So when they ram into each other, Legendary Destoroyah is going to completely destroy Shin Mecha Godzilla and just make him fly when they ram. And what I believe is going to happen is Shin Mecha Godzilla is going into gliding mode, and he's going to start gliding and then just gliding really fast. More fast than Legendary Destoroyah can focus. And he's going to just start ramming into Legendary Destoroyah and it's going to slowly break off most, if not a good amount, of his giant spines. He's going to do that. And once he does that, he's going to come back on the ground. So at this point, Legendary Destoroyah is kind of spineless. And he's going to use, or he's going to actually, he's going to turn on the laser rockets, right? Once he turns on the laser rockets, they are going towards him. And they're gonna shoot at him, one, and two, they're gonna absolutely obliterate him when the laser opens because he has no spines to protect him anymore. So, when that happens, Legendary starts to be very, very, very hurt. And when he uses the anti-oxygen blast, one time he uses it, the scan missiles might get it, might not get it as the first time, but he will learn the prediction, his scan missiles will detect it now in pretty much all of his abilities, and there we go, there's Destoroyah, and the adaptation ability will adapt Shin Mecha Godzilla in a way to completely avoid it 100% and to counterattack every single time. So it's really going to cause a lot of damage. So therefore Shin Mecha Godzilla, I believe, is going to win this one, making it 1-1. Now, because it's tied, we're going to go to overtime. And basically overtime is just rating them off their pure abilities and nothing else because it is a tie. So, this is going to happen. Let's go over the abilities of Legendary Destoroyah first. So, Legendary Destoroyah has the Anti-Oxygen Blast, Crown of the Fallen King Zap, Stomach Tongue, Tail Grip, Super Spiny Skin, and Eye Blast. Shin Mecha Godzilla has the Super Laser Ray, Gliding ability, Laser Rockets, Scan Missiles, Prediction ability, Solar Recharge, and Adaptation ability. I'm gonna have to give it to Shin Mecha Godzilla, and here's why. Far distance he kinda lacks, but in reality, most battles are gonna be close range, right? And he is just absolutely incredible in close range. With adaptation, scan missiles, and prediction ability, all of that is great. So, therefore, it's gonna be 2-1 due to overtime. Obviously, you can debate me in the comment section below. It's just my opinion. I think Shin Mecha Godzilla will be the winner, but as I said, you can debate me in the comment section below if you disagree with me. But that's about it. Shin Mecha Godzilla is the winner. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a wonderful, great, and amazing day.